The Vichy French Embassy on Wyoming Avenue stands silent and dark. It is after midnight, June 1942. A woman waits in the reception room. She sits perfectly still. She appears to be waiting for her lover. The night watchman does not question her. He has seen her here before. He is used to her. Deep inside the building is a locked code room. Inside it, a heavy Mosler safe. Inside that safe, the Vichy French naval cipher books. They encrypt every communication of a fleet that answers to Nazi Germany. The watchman suspects nothing. The press attaché who thinks this woman belongs to him suspects nothing. She does not belong to anyone. And the cipher, though he does not yet know it, already belongs to the Allies. Amy Elizabeth Thorpe was born on November 22, 1910, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Her father was Colonel George C. Thorpe, a decorated United States Marine Corps officer. Her mother was the daughter of a Minnesota state senator. She grew up in motion, military bases, foreign cities, European capitals. She absorbed languages the way other children absorbed fairy tales. By the time she was 18, she moved through Washington society without effort. Green eyes, amber hair, a quiet gravity that pulled men twice her age toward her without effort. She married Arthur Pack in April 1930. Pack was second secretary at the British Embassy, 19 years her senior. Spain came next, then Warsaw. In Warsaw in 1938, a British intelligence officer named Jack Shelley approached her. She was 27 years old. She had already been passing information to the British informally for months. Shelley made it official. She was assigned a code name, Cynthia. She was allotted £20 a month. She was asked to do what she had always done: charm, cultivate, extract. The only difference now was that London was listening. Her cover was so ordinary it was invisible. She was an American journalist. She was sympathetic to Vichy France. She was the devoted companion of a charming French official. She was none of these things. Charles Emmanuel Brouse was 50 years old. He had flown as a decorated fighter pilot in the Great War. He was now the Vichy French press attaché in Washington, D.C. In May 1941, Cynthia called the embassy and introduced herself as a journalist. Brouse invited her for a meeting within hours. He was captivated almost immediately. She let him believe it was mutual. It was not. The Vichy French were not neutral. France had surrendered in June 1940. The armistice left a collaborationist state in the south. Vichy France took orders from Nazi Germany. Its navy was among the most powerful in the world. Its cipher system encrypted every communication of that fleet. Orders, movements, battle plans. All of it locked inside code books in a heavy Mosler safe. The safe sat behind a locked door in the embassy code room. Only the chief cipher officer and his assistant could access it. Brouse had no access whatsoever. He was the press attaché. He was the man who made her presence in the building seem natural and trusted. He was not the target. The cipher books were. This was not the first time Cynthia had done something like this. She had already walked through enemy doors carrying nothing but nerve. In Warsaw in 1938, she cultivated a personal aide to Polish Foreign Minister Joseph Beck. Through him, she learned that Polish cryptographers had begun breaking Germany's Enigma enciphering machine. That intelligence went to British SIS. When Hitler moved on Czechoslovakia, Cynthia gave London advance confirmation of his intentions. The British dismissed it. The cost fell on Europe. In Washington in 1941, her first official assignment was the Italian naval cipher. Italy still maintained an embassy in the American capital. Admiral Alberto Lais was the Italian naval attaché. He was 60 years old. He had known Cynthia since she was a child. He had called her his golden girl. She reactivated that connection carefully. Lais would not hand over the cipher books. She identified his cipher clerk instead. She approached the clerk posing as a journalist. After several meetings, a small payment changed hands. She walked away with the Italian naval cipher books. British cryptanalysts decoded the Italian Navy's communications. On March 28, 1941, the Royal Navy struck the Italian fleet at Cape Matapan. 3 Italian heavy cruisers and 2 destroyers were sunk. More than 2,400 Italian sailors died. The cipher Cynthia extracted had cracked the Italian Navy open. In March 1942, William Stephenson gave the order. Stephenson ran British security coordination from an office in Rockefeller Center, New York. His code name was Intrepid. London needed the Vichy French naval ciphers. The Allied High Command was planning the invasion of French North Africa. Without those ciphers, the Vichy fleet was an unknown that could unravel everything. Cynthia had already been inside the embassy for nearly a year. She knew the building. She knew the guard routine. She knew the safe by sight. She knew every man inside and what he believed about her. The first attempt failed before it fully began. Browse told the night watchman they needed a discreet place for an encounter. He paid the guard a small amount. The guard looked the other way. They located the code room. The safecracker, an American operative known only as the Georgia Cracker, obtained through OSS Director William Donovan, opened the Mosler safe. The cipher books were inside. There was no time. The volumes were heavy and numerous. Photographing every page would take hours they did not have. They closed the safe. They left. A second attempt stalled when the safe resisted without the Georgia Cracker present. The book sat untouched for another week, but the window was closing fast. Operation Torch, the Allied invasion of French North Africa, was being planned in secret across London and Washington. The Vichy fleet in Morocco and Algeria was unpredictable. Generals needed to know if that fleet would fight or stand down. The answer was locked in those books. The books were 20 feet from where Cynthia sat every night. A third attempt was arranged for June 24, 1942. Cynthia and Browse entered the embassy together as they always did. The Georgia Cracker waited on the tree-shadowed lawn outside with a ladder. The night watchman began his rounds with his dog. Everything appeared normal. Then the footsteps changed. The pattern shifted. The guard was moving ahead of schedule. Cynthia had seconds. She stood up from the sofa. She pulled her dress over her head, then she removed everything else. Browse stared at her in the dark. "You haven't gone mad." He whispered. She told him to undress. He hesitated. She did not. He undressed. They sat back down together in the embassy dark, naked, waiting. Footsteps reached the door. The door swung open. A flashlight beam cut through the room. It found her first. She did not flinch. She did not speak. She reached slowly for her slip from the cushion beside her and held it loosely against her chest. The beam held on her for a moment. The watchman stood motionless in the doorway. "I beg your pardon 1,000 times," he said quietly. He pulled the door closed. His footsteps retreated toward the basement. He never reported what he had seen. He never mentioned it to anyone. Browse turned to look at her. She was already dressing. She moved to the window and unlatched it without a sound. Below on the lawn, the Georgia Cracker waited. He climbed in. He went straight to the code room. He opened the Mosler safe with the combination already memorized. He removed the cipher volumes one by one and passed them to a waiting BSC officer outside. Every page was photographed by hand in the dark. The books were back inside the vault before daybreak. The safe was locked. The Georgia Cracker climbed back down the ladder and vanished into the Washington night. Cynthia and Browse left the embassy together as they always did. He thought the night had been a narrow escape. She knew it had been a complete success. The date was June 24, 1942. The photographs of the cipher books were in William Stephenson's hands within hours. British and American cryptanalysts had the Vichy French naval cipher system broken within days. The intelligence it unlocked changed the shape of the war. On November 8, 1942, Allied forces launched Operation Torch. More than 107,000 troops landed simultaneously on the beaches of Morocco and Algeria. It was the largest amphibious operation the Western Allies had yet attempted. The Vichy French fleet had the power to turn those landings into catastrophe, but its communications were no longer private. Every signal the fleet transmitted was decoded before it could be acted upon. Naval resistance in North Africa collapsed with a speed that surprised even Allied planners. The fleet at Casablanca ceased operations. The port at Oran fell. The invasion succeeded. The intelligence that made it possible had been photographed in a darkened embassy reception room by a woman in nothing but a pearl necklace. William Stephenson called her the greatest unsung heroine of the war. He meant it as a compliment. She might have taken it as accurate fact. The war ended. Arthur Pack took his own life in 1945. Cynthia married Charles Brous. They moved to Château de Castelnau, a medieval castle in the village of Castelnau in the Pyrenees-Orientales of southern France. She began writing her memoirs. She died of throat cancer on December 1, 1963. She was 53 years old. She received no medal, no official ceremony, no public acknowledgement during her lifetime. Her intelligence files were classified for decades. Some remain closed or heavily redacted to this day. When Time magazine published her obituary in December 1963, it quoted Stephenson one final time. 2 months before she died, she had written these words herself: "Wars are not won by respectable methods." Charles Brous died in 1972 in a fire at the Château. He never fully understood the woman he had loved. He never knew why she had come to the embassy on Wyoming Avenue night after night. She was not there for him. She was there for a safe, for a set of code books, for a cipher that sailed ahead of an Allied fleet to the shores of North Africa. Thousands of men walked off those beaches alive. None of them ever knew her name.